Whew. One of these times we're going to actually tweet out that we're going live. And our checker outer is checked out. Thanks, Kevin.
Hey, you got it, man.
Appreciate it.
When the alert pops in, it's always fun.
Thanks for hanging out with us on a Tuesday night on our
What's up,
YouTube
guys?
channel. Please do us a huge favor. I'm not even putting the First Amendment Sports banner in the shot on this two-man edition. We're going to send our condolences, not condolences, our heartfelt, wishes for a speedy recovery for the headache of all headaches. A Tuesday headache is a terrible headache to have. Senor Timothy Strachan.
Yeah. Hang in there, bro.
Hang in there, man. Otherwise, we would have a whole different shot with the logo, so you would know to hit it and subscribe. Please give us that free subscription. It really helps us out. We thank you guys for it. We're about ready to get started here with our weekly show. So tonight, Kevin, let's give you a little preview. Tonight, we're going to just do the first round of the SB Nation mock draft. So every team site drafts for their team, no trades. Redskins are and have been on the clock. We will make the pick on our show tonight. It's going to be awesome. James is going to be excited. T was going to be here kind of recording and reporting on all the weedy sandwich orders, James might have, or Joe. I know Joe's up in New York. He probably, we don't have the whole comment thing all the way nailed yet. Plus, we're flying, without our wingman who was handling the comment section.
Yeah, he'll get back on this. We'll have AGH, Andrew Griffith Humphreys. We'll have James Rainey. We'll have you guys, Joe. We'll have John Tier, Keegan Teal. We'll have them. I got you guys ready to rock.
Get the word right, and I will get the word. I wanted to say it.
Nasta.
Okay, Nasta.
Good evening.
All right, let's do this. Here we go. On behalf of First Amendment Sports, I'd like to welcome you to the official Redskins podcast of Hogs Haven. That is the Audible. We are one man shy tonight. T. Strachan not in the basement, but Kevin Ricka is.
Yeah, I'm ready to take up for him, drink whatever he's missing out on. And it might look like a big pack of Big Red right now, but by the end of this draft talk, it's going to be some juicy fruit, Ken. I can feel it coming.
We at the Audible are proud to bring you, I'm going to move this out of your way. Thank you so much, James, for letting me know that this was right in my way. Offseason On the Brink, the official offseason podcast of the Washington Redskins, where we follow the greatest drama that we know there to be, and that is Redskins offseason news. We're coming up on the draft. We're joined by Froghorn, Leghorn, and Uncle Sage down here in the basement tonight, riding along side saddle as they are wont to do. We're going to go through the first 14 picks of the NFL draft as picked by representatives that look and sound an awful lot like me, which... Kevin, that's scary. There shouldn't even be one, much less 31 others running websites dedicated to NFL teams in this country.
I pray for your kids on a nightly basis.
Thank you. They
got it.
Do need it. First up is the Arizona Cardinals, and it perfectly weaves in the Josh Rosen news of the day. The Washington Redskins still supposedly linked. I think we reported a rumor that's been floating around on social media, so it's not like we're not saying we think it's true or know it's true, but the Redskins giving up a second this year and a third next year for Josh Rosen, not to be announced until draft day because you don't want to rain on Roger Goodell's parade.
No, you can't mess with the marketing guys, or else
every year is like his 16th birthday party, and he's like a spoiled brat. And he like, what the hell?
I know you have questions. I believe it's imminent, but regardless, we're not allowed to discuss this. Apparently, our fan base can't find out about the future of our most important position in professional sports because of someone else's. Thank you, Roger. Appreciate it, bud.
So that kind of blows, but we've all kind of made our peace with the beauty of a $2 million a year guy with upside that is Josh Rosen, who would just fit perfectly in our ragtag Colt McCoy, Case Keenum quarterback meeting. I think Alex Smith is going to be. I think the quarterback room is going to be full this year because I think we're going to have three active guys, and I hope Alex Smith is just around. Like 100 pounds less apparently from the last time he was. When he played ball, from what I'm told, the guy's lost like half his body mass. But Kevin, they're still going to have like a nice little spread outside the quarterback room, like croissants, maybe with some Danish. I don't know. Maybe some. Do we do oatmeal? Do you think oatmeal? Do we want to? Should we make it oatmeal?
I decided about 23 seconds ago. I have no effing clue what you're talking about right now. They got the Danish oatmeal, Alex Smith losing weight, and I'm freaking out right now.
All right,
so.
okay, calm down.
I
calm
got
down.
it. I got no, and that's not in a bad way.
This is what happens when the Arizona Cardinals are on the clock.
Well,
It just
T's
messes
not
with
here.
everybody.
T's not here. He usually says like you're a weird guy, Ace, or something along those lines. But no, I know what you're saying. It's like a mini loaf of Wonder Bread in this quarterback room right now, and we got a couple stale heels. But let's get that soft middle piece and see what happens.
That's
the best. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what Josh Rosen has to offer, but I do believe that you're a rookie contract guy, and I think that's one of the main things he has to offer with a potential upside. So we'll see. I think it's a done deal, man. I think we're just sitting here, last people to find out about it. It's like not getting Game of Thrones until July. We know it's coming. Everyone else is going to get theirs. Everyone else knows what's up.
Yeah, but they made us wait 2 years.
That's true. For 6 episodes.
For 6 episodes, 2 of which off the bat are less than an hour long, if that's even true.
Why the hell would I have ever transitioned this goddamn conversation into Game of Thrones sitting next to you with no T. Strachan in the building?
So I'm going to go ahead and give you a break on this whole thing because...
You're a good man.
Because we are going to do a Game of Thrones show. And one of our greatest shows ever was a Game of Thrones. We're coming back to it. It's not going to be tonight. We got ourselves a draft to cover. The Arizona Cardinals are still on the clock. We're still not sure. Are they going to keep Josh Rosen? Or are they going to trade Josh Rosen and draft Kyler Murray? I'm actually pulling it up right now.
Yeah, I really don't understand why it's such a necessity to get rid of Josh Rosen. But, I guess having him in the way to develop this guy, and maybe it's just 2 different schools of thought. I don't know. But, we'd be happy to take a guy with that amount of upside and ceiling, I think, on that level of a contract. It's just due to our situation. When your guy gets a spiral fracture and he's out for the next 2 years, costing you $40 million, your options are pretty much limited. Everyone realized that that's what we're discussing because that's the facts that we're up against. This isn't just a basis of Josh Rosen. This is a culmination of the scenario we found ourselves in.
Listen, I don't want anyone to ever have a spiral fracture of any bones in their body. It's the worst way to break a bone, from what I understand.
Yeah.
But he is getting another $41 million, guaranteed 51, technically, I believe. Yep. Guaranteed no matter what.
Yeah, so, we got a little insurance policy on that.
Yeah, I know. The Arizona Cardinals pick is in. They picked Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
The Cardinals are going quarterback number 1 overall, which makes the San Francisco 49ers super happy because they run to the podium and pick up Nick Bosa, the edge rusher out of Ohio State, which is a position of huge need for the Washington Redskins. I think there's 5 guys, and we don't have to say them all who they are, but I think there's 5 guys, 5 edge rushers that are going to be, in my opinion, worthwhile for the Washington Redskins to draft in the first round at 15 overall.
I agree.
No trades in this exercise, but I actually do believe in my heart of hearts that the Washington Redskins are dying to get an offer to trade down. And we'll see if that's true. And you know what? The Rosen scenario is going to factor in that immensely. Nick Bosa off the board. New York Jets having drafted Sam Darnold last year, I believe, right? He comes off his rookie year looking like he can play. He's going to give him. He's going to give him some solid innings. He's going to be able to get out there and throw the ball for him.
He got more of an opportunity than possibly our future guy, and he did well with it. He's going to be the guy up there. They love him.
They have a decent receiver, newly signed. I think they'll be doing all right there. But what they don't have is a ton of identity on defense. Josh Allen, the edge rusher out of Kentucky, goes number 3 off the board. So now 3 edge rushers right away are gone, and I'm sorry, 2.
Just two.
Two are gone right away.
Unless you're bringing 5'10", $190 off the edge, then
no, I'm not. Well, I might. Kyler Murray. If can we talk about where we would play him in our flag league?
No.
Okay. Well,
no, we can't. We cannot do that.
We'll get to that later.
Yeah, good idea.
We'll get to that. That's in the after show. Oakland Raiders are on the clock. Oakland Raiders are a fun team. They're going to make the draft fun. Here's what my biggest problem with the Oakland Raiders are.
They're not making the draft fun. There's no Mayock crap.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, all right.
That's where I'm going with.
All right, good.
Nobody,
drive me nuts.
In my personal humble opinion, has really taken the draft as seriously as I have. Even like to shut down, it's a holiday. The Maringola family is on holiday. The fact that the NFL has stretched it out 3 days is killing my wife because in the old days, It was just
I
a
think
day, a
you're
write-off
killing your
day.
wife. Stop.
It's
Stop.
just the
Stop
draft.
blaming the NFL for this shit.
It's just the NFL. They made some decisions that I had no control over, and now I'm like locked away for 3 days, even though it's only one round on the first day. But what are you going to do?
I don't know what I'm talking about. I will be here with you for a
Yeah,
generous
right.
portion
Yeah,
of
exactly.
history days.
You're not in any less trouble than me.
Yeah.
But the part of what made the draft great recently was Mike Mayock. He's gone. He's at the Oakland Raiders. I'm dying to
I miss
watch
him dearly right now.
I know, but I
miss
wanted
him dearly
him
right now.
to come. There was a whisker of a chance over the last 2 years that the Redskins had a chance of Mike Mayock. Maybe we never actually did. Although the fact that he went with a Gruden leads me to believe that might have been a passing in the night.
Maybe, but he also is the type of guy that would punch Bruce and Dan in the face in one afternoon and call it quits. So it's probably good that he's not here.
I think he would get in close, and after a couple punches, I think they would get some elbows and a knee.
Yeah, but have you seen Al Davis' son's forehead? You could punch that 100 times in a row. You're not doing any damage, and you're not messing up that hair.
No, that's why you got to stay down.
It's the worst bowl cut in the history of mankind. That
Is he trolling us with that haircut, do you think?
I think he's kidding. I think he's joking. He's like, when you have this much money, you can have this haircut. Like, know that.
It's just, I also think it has to do with the fact that he's like, you know what? I'm going to approach this with the 1970s point of view, and no one's going to change that. No one's going to change anything about how I want to live my life.
He looks like a weird penis. It's a very strange
It was definitely not a normal
it's
penis.
not your
It's a
average.
weird penis. Does James have anything to say about
I have
that?
no idea how this got to this point.
Quinnen Williams is off the board.
Finally,
the first
finally,
Alabama
thank you.
pick goes to the Oakland Raiders.
Such a Mayock pick.
The Washington Redskins are crying their eyes out because an Alabama player is off the board, gone for good. No more Quinnen Williams.
Hey, but we got our two versions of Quinnen Williams.
I know,
We're doing
of
just fine.
course. But like, it just makes me. It's like we're supposed to draft Alabama defensive linemen. Tampa Bay Buccaneers at number 5. Listen, they got a ton of needs, not the least of which is figuring out a way to replace that Fitzmagic, which you just can't replace. That's a 37-year-old bearded.
No, you just twist up your fingers
Ivy
and
League
shove them
graduate.
deep down your throat and kiss your season goodbye.
So I love Fitzpatrick. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to try and establish a defensive identity by taking the defensive lineman Ed Oliver out of Houston, who's a hot commodity.
Yeah, his comps are ridiculous. I mean, Aaron Donald is your comp, except for they find you to be a tad bit more athletic at the combine.
It's scary.
6'2", 290 something, and move like that. And you know that they made a big stink on it on ESPN about him playing out of position at Houston, playing on the 3 technique and not moving him around. But you know he's a factor. He's a stump in the middle of that defense, and he's gonna be a freak.
The Washington Redskins would love to have a guy like Ed Oliver on their team. Obviously, he's going to be a guy who goes in the top 5. New York Giants on the clock. And
who did they take up in New York in the
New York Giants? So
SB Nation business.
Ed Valentine is a serious guy.
Yeah.
He's been around for a long time. I think he's happy to give Eli Manning the ball for another season because in the first round he's taken Devin White, the linebacker out of LSU.
Man, you saw him crying after he ran his 40 at the combine.
Yeah.
He was, those are tears of joy. He knew what he just did. He got himself into the top 10 of the draft when he was kind of a maybe not a first or second round guy.
Yeah.
When you're that big and that fast and coming out of that conference, it's a nice pick by the Giants. I don't like it as a Redskins
Hey, was that
fan
a Texas
'cause it's
Longhorn
legit.
frown over there? You don't think? All right. Devin White. We got someone who doesn't believe in Devin White. And by the way, if he goes to the New York Giants, I will join you in that disbelief, sir. Jacksonville Jaguars are on the clock. So the Jacksonville Jaguars recently decided to wave bye-bye to Blake Bortles. Balake is now the backup in... Oh, shoot, I'm going to blank on that. He's the backup for Sean McVay for the Rams. He's backing up Jared Goff.
Yeah, well, Sean McVay just got robbed last night, and I think it might have happened twice, Ken. I don't know how much magic he's got left in his quarterbackness.
Did Blake Bortles save Sean McVay's life at a dinner?
There is no...
I think you might have given him the
maneuver.
Heimlich.
No, there's none.
Okay, just making sure.
So who does Jacksonville want?
They're going to go quarterback here. They take Dwayne Haskins. So at number 7 overall goes a player who played his high school ball 5 miles from here or so, where our esteemed colleague Froghorn just made his way from, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Darren McClinton. Rocking them out there, making the athletes way better over at Bullis for Pat Salento.
So you get your hands on Haskins for, a season? And then he goes to Ohio State, throws a bunch of touchdowns, and now he's the number 7 pick in the NFL draft. All right, he's taking all the credit.
All right, we'll bring him down to the basement then. Let's see if we can train his agent to get him over here for a night.
We actually do need Dwayne Haskins on this show.
Yeah, it'd be a nice.
Dwayne Haskins. Some people think the Washington Redskins are going to trade up and make a move for Dwayne Haskins. I hope they don't. Nothing against Dwayne Haskins. I hope he does great for Jacksonville or New York. The Giants, by the way, could still absolutely take him, and or even as far down as the Broncos at number 10 overall. Kevin McClinton in the house. Good to see you, sir. Good to see you. Good to see you.
What's up, Juice?
Detroit Lions are on the clock. Now,
Detroit Lions.
Detroit Lions, I believe they've said their pick is for sale. I think they've been among the most public for people who are willing to move down. But you can't move down here, and they move right in on our territory.
They went ahead and took Brian Burns.
They took Brian Burns.
Yeah, you sons of bitches.
The edge rusher out of Florida State.
Yeah, that's going to hurt.
Who's going to be a player?
To hear his name said before 15 is going to hurt, but not worse if it isn't said than isn't said at 15. So, we'll tell you, listen, there's a lot of great football players right here. It's fun to talk about these guys and nitpick. Bottom line is, these guys are special freaks, and we'd be happy to have anyone that was honestly right now picked. Some more so than others, but lucky to have any one of them. Who do we got next, Ken?
So with Brian Burns off the board, the Buffalo Bills are on the clock. I love this pick for the Buffalo Bills because I love this player, and I also love that it's not an edge rusher. The Buffalo Bills take T.J. Hawkinson, the tight end out of Iowa, who until like 2 months ago, was the second best tight end on his own team. Noah Fant.
Yeah.
I knew you would be able to pull that name.
Joel seems to be the new nickname we're going to have for him around here. Joel, Noah Fant. They're both studs, but you're right. It depends on team need, team offense. What are you running? It depends on what you need.
He's a first-round talent.
Yes.
Noah's also first-round talent.
They're both like 6'5", 250. They've got game.
Denver Broncos, the Mile High Report, which has been in business for a long time, and they're a great spot if the Redskins are playing the Broncos. I definitely give them a recommend. They go quarterback. Yes, they just got Joe Flacco, but they're taking Drew Lock, the quarterback out of Missouri, and I think it is based on John Elway's huge boner for Drew Lock throughout this entire process.
Well,
he's not even tried to hide it.
He needs to get some Viagra because his last 5 boners just tend to have been windsocks on a non-breezy day. Yeah, just up and then
gummy worms.
And now we got one. So I don't know how that works out for us, but I'd like us to have more of a stiff boner type guy at quarterback, but. That's just me.
Like a John Beck,
I'm
maybe,
no draft expert.
or
I'm no draft expert.
like a Patrick Ramsey, or maybe a Colt Brennanish.
Yeah, well, I had one for Alex Smith, and that got spiral fractured into a disaster. So.
Yeah, well, the spiral fracture on those they're even harder to come back from.
Jesus God.
Gary Kubiak, John Elway, they love them some quarterbacks. They've pretty much. I feel like if you look around, so Case Keenum, Trevor Siemian.
The guy from Memphis, what's his name? I can never remember. Paxton Lynch.
I
mean, come on. You got
Kevin Hogan. Kevin Hogan's up. I mean, they are getting around.
You got to stop thinking about baseball.
They need to be QB tested at least every 2 weeks, maybe every 3 weeks with how many QBs they get with. I mean, the Denver Broncos, they are just out there.
Yeah, Elway has not been hitting home runs with these picks. These quarterbacks taking high.
Turns out you can't just sign Peyton Manning every single time.
Yeah.
How about that? Cincinnati Bengals, you follow up the Drew Lock pick. Everyone's talking about the quarterback except for Mike Mayock because he's no longer talking about the draft. FU Raiders. The Cincinnati Bengals take Devin Bush, the linebacker out of Michigan.
Yeah.
Who is just going to be a force.
He's so versatile. You can play him all over the place, Ken. You know what? You can build a defense around a guy like that. In theory, outside of your front line, you can move him to so many different spots. He's a 3-down guy. He can defend so many different areas of the field. He's the new hybrid type defensive badass werewolf.
I'm happy to see him go to the AFC. They just got rid of Vontaze Burfict, and I think that this is their way of replacing talent at that spot.
He skips over 2.0. This is Vontaze 3.0 because he can go all over the place. He's
and
not
hopefully
just stuck in the middle.
Won't cost him 15 yards, when the game's on the line.
No.
This is when it gets hard for me because I know what's about to happen and you guys don't, but you can already tell by my face and the sound of my voice that something terrible is about to happen.
There's some angst.
The Green Bay Packers are on the clock. Everyone's talking about they're not going quarterback, obviously. I would love for as many quarterbacks to go in the top 15 as humanly possible. Let teams trade up, come after a Daniel Jones, come after a Drew Lock, let them move up into there. Hopefully maybe go after a guy like Devin Bush or for that matter, a TJ Hawkinson, if he really is Gronk.
Hell, Ken, we've had tremendous success rooting for other teams to draft quarterbacks, offensive tackles ahead of us over the last 2 years so we can come up with the two gems that we came up with Jonathan Allen and Deron Payne. I'm going to be doing the same thing this year. I'm hoping all three of those quarterbacks go. Hell, I hope Daniel Jones somehow sneaks his way into the top 15, which ain't happening. The D tackles, we don't need them. We're rooting our ass off for the Quinnens and Olivers and, the Christian Wilkins and Jeffrey Simmons.
Yeah, only two defensive linemen drafted in the top 12
I think offensive tackles and receivers, too. We're rooting for all these guys. Take the linebackers. Take White and Bush. Have at it. Give us... Now, listen, like I said,
a chance.
We don't know what the hell we're talking about either, but we do know what this team needs.
Oh, I disagree with you entirely, Kevin.
Yeah, but I know. There's a difference between thinking you do and knowing you do. I think we do. All right, well, you do.
I do.
But you also said UVA was a fraud at halftime
They're
of round
totally
one.
fake.
So let's just get off the UVA
team.
thing. I promised I wasn't going to bring it up tonight. All right, what do we got here? What's Green Bay doing? How are they going to do it to us?
They're a house of cards.
They're going to give us a throat chop, aren't they?
Tony Bennett runs a house of cards. The Green Bay Packers are absolutely throat chopping us.
Montez.
They're going Montez Sweat, the Mississippi State edge rusher, who I think we all would agree is going to start on day one, and I think he has a chance to be very productive.
Ken, he's a fraction under 6'6". He's 260 pounds. The dude ran a 4.41. You love the hand size. He's got 10.5s.
I do love the hand size.
My man's got a 35 3/4 inch reach. His wingspan.
His name alone. I want the
84. 84. The number one wingspan of all the edge rushers. I mean, we're talking about Javon Curse-like numbers, but beefier and more stout against the run. And, I know he's a tad bit unproven and he's got some work to do. He's a bit raw, they say. But as an athlete, you're getting a pure guy who played in 27 games and had 23.5 sacks and 30.5 tackles for a loss. I love him.
And I'm happy to go to that well because I think that I appreciate what he did in that position, in that program, because we just had a guy go through our entire, go through his rookie contract with us, and Preston Smith did the exact same thing. And I think he has a higher ceiling than Preston Smith does.
I think he's
did.
I don't want to say way better. I think he's a superior athlete to Preston.
Yes.
And he's got a 7 foot plus wingspan.
Yeah,
I mean, that's something that,
And in Green Bay,
that's just going to look different in burgundy and gold.
The interesting thing about this mock draft, in my opinion, is the Green Bay Packers just signed Preston Smith to a huge deal. Or a big deal. He's getting paid the way that big-time edge rushers get paid. So the Green Bay Packers just paid for one. If they double down with Montez Sweat, that's balls. That's badass, and I love it.
That's Mississippi State on both edges.
It's Mississippi State on both edges. So I think the chances the Green Bay Packers pass on Montez Sweat are at least existent because they just brought in, an edge rusher from Mississippi State. You can't have two, what team would draft? What team would have this players from the same college, all over their defense? Like no one does that. Miami Dolphins at number 13. I have no idea who the Miami Dolphins draft. They're like the team I go to the bathroom.
I get to guess
during.
Right?
Yeah, you get to guess.
I like to guess these last couple.
When I'm watching the draft, when the Miami Dolphins are on the clock, I'm like, I think I could go to the bathroom now. I could go to the bathroom now. I could probably cook something like fast, in the time like in the first round where it's like 10 minutes or so.
They take the full.
Because I don't care at all.
Hold on though, it's almost like
almost
like a real life version of Ballers. Like who's going to go down to Miami and get paid like this and do what they do?
Good for them.
Ball?
Go play for the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah,
if Don Shula is not coaching, you're not doing any winning.
Maybe not, but I know what you are doing. And
yeah, well, that's true. Miami Vice. The
Rock, Philip Michael Thomas. I mean, there's a lot of Miami-ness.
My understanding is it's not all the beaches are.
Will Smith? Is it? Yeah, I shouldn't have said Will Smith.
And Benito.
Are they taking Greedy Williams? Nope. All right.
They're going offense.
I'm a one-guess guy. I'm not gonna keep
Okay.
going.
They're taking the tackle out of Florida. They're staying local. They're taking Juwan
Juwan?
Taylor.
All right.
Yeah. Who
We cheer for that pick.
I think
when
I
it
cheer. I
happens.
stand up and
Yes,
applaud.
we do.
But I'm already in the bathroom, so I have to like
And cooking something fast and yeah.
But someone relays the information to me, and I cheer wherever I'm at because I know Juwan Taylor, as good as he's going to be, and he's going to be a solid NFL player. I actually don't think he's a bust type player. I think he's a guy who plays 10 years in this
No, we're
league.
2 ships passing in the night. That's it. Nothing against him as a baller.
Juwan, please, God be with you. Have a great career.
We're locked up for a few years on our tackle.
Just
position.
crush it on the Miami
and our
beaches.
backup. Yeah, have at it.
Don't
Juwan.
just do yourself a favor. Don't just like don't get too nuts.
Yeah.
I mean, but he's already from Florida, so he kind of already knows the lay of the land.
Count to 10 before you hit send, Juwan.
Count to 10 before you hit send. Always get the assist, right, Kev? Yeah. Number 14, the Atlanta Falcons. Atlanta Falcons, 2 years off a Super Bowl.
Wow, it seems like 20 years off a Super Bowl.
Do we call that 2 years? A year and a half?
I bet you they're going to take Christian Wilkins out of Clemson.
They don't.
Dang.
I'm not sure if this pick is the result of a recent pick that was just ahead of them, but they get on the offensive line bandwagon and they take Jonah Williams. And I think that Jonah Williams is on our short list. I don't think he's our pick in the first round, but I do think he's on our short list for a variety of reasons, not the least of which is he went to Alabama. Let's just get that out of the way.
And he plays tackle, and he can play right, but I believe, for us at least, not for everyone, he'd be our left guard.
He would start at left guard on day one, and he would have the ability to play any other position they wanted him to play. If they wanted him to move to tackle, he could. And he is a very talented beast of a man who will absolutely be necessary. The guys like him, you got to put in front of quarterbacks. Matt Ryan's got a few years left of a mega deal. They got to protect him. They just lost Tevin Coleman.
Hey, they threw the ball on us as if we weren't playing last year at a time when we were playing some pretty good football, I thought. They made our secondary look like Swiss cheese. They diced us up.
They've stolen some offensive linemen
us.
from me, too. The Atlanta Falcons have.
From you personally?
Me personally.
Okay.
And
I didn't know you had a bunch of linemen.
And I don't forget stuff
Well, I
like
congratulate that. It's a good business model, Ken. Stockpile those guys.
Well, that's the only way to do it. And I think the Washington Redskins, if Jonah Williams was available at number 15, I think they would pause. At this point in time, the Washington Redskins are on the clock, and let's just do a quick review. Quarterbacks off the table: Kyler Murray, Dwayne Haskins, Drew Lock.
Yes.
That leaves Daniel Jones available.
Yeah, and that's he's nowhere near. There's a few publications that obviously haven't done their local homework. He's nowhere near that in my mind. He's not. So that would be devastating.
That would be devastating. Yeah. And we're not doing it. I don't think, because I also think if we really feel that strong enough about it, I think he'll be there potentially in the second round, and he also could fall. The guys who fall in drafts to the Washington Redskins because you were like, wait a second, wasn't he like the second? Didn't people say Jonathan Allen was going to go number 2?
Right.
Didn't people think Deron Payne was going to go in the top 5?
Reuben Foster wasn't supposed to drop till the end, and different.
That's right.
Differences, but
so the Ed Olivers, they're gone, thankfully, because they should be. The Devin Whites are gone. The Bushes from
Quinn
Michigan
Williams is
gone.
we can't take him, so we're rooting for him.
We need him to go.
Of course.
So you have top-notch players that are, because when you're drafting in the middle of the first round, a top-notch player could fall to you. In this case, some of those guys are staying up high. Edge rusher. So edge rusher, I believe, is our number one priority. Bosa gone. Allen gone. Brian Burns gone. Montez Sweat gone. That does leave a guy. And before we get to who that guy is or could be, I also want to mention that so far, not a single wide receiver off the board.
And there's one big old one that many people that are fans of the Burgundy and Gold are going to be pining for.
That is correct. The Washington Redskins have a huge hole at wide receiver. It is...
Let me ask you, before we get any further, how do you feel about DK Metcalf before we make this pick? Or should we wait till after we make the pick?
No, DK Metcalf is on... Metcalf, I will say Metcalf. DK Metcalf is on the list, short list. He's right there with Jonah Williams as far as one of the better guys at his position that I think could start for us. The last part about that is the most telling part, because there's guys who could start for us that probably shouldn't be first-round picks, and that's a problem organizationally. So there's options, but I don't think we can waste this pick on Daniel Jones. I really don't think...
I don't think he's in the conversation.
I really don't think he's in the conversation. And I also don't think at this point in time that I'm going to go wide receiver in the first round. And it's not just Josh Doxson like rebound pain.
I will say, though,
Although I love Josh
the
Jackson
same
still.
way you said Jonah Williams has to be in the conversation, I do think DK has to be in the conversation. Now work with me here. Don't think I'm getting to that point of saying I think we should take him, because I am not. Now, 6'3", 228, running a 4.33 is ridiculous. We've seen the pictures of the guy. He looks similar to you and I in high school. I get that. So, we're going to have that near and dear to our hearts.
Yes.
But when you are that guy and 71% of your yardage came at the college level running a basic pass offense in the hitch and fade game, that's legit running straight, stopping, or running straight, not stopping, those two things. Well, like you said, we have a guy that does that.
Yeah.
Then again, do you want to miss out on a generational wideout? That's the question that you have to ask yourself.
So I don't think there's a generational wideout available right here, and you could be proven wrong so easily.
No, I don't either. I do like that. He's got kin in this area that have produced at the highest of levels. Eric Metcalf from O'Connell, that's his uncle. Terry Metcalf is also his uncle. This is a family of talent, and that has given us a lot of things to smile about.
And DK would start for us,
and he certainly would start for us.
Would start for us.
Now that's a problem, because now Doxson's got to go to the Z, and then Paul Richardson becomes the slot, and
which I like. I like the way that would lay out.
I don't mind that, but Doxson's not.
And also, by the way,
right now you're three guys out of position in my mind.
I don't think Richardson goes. I guess
position.
one thing I would say, I don't think Richardson goes to the slot. I think Trey Quinn wins the slot job. Excuse me. And as long as he's healthy, I think he's a starting slot.
Listen. You're not having Josh Doxson's athleticism on the sidelines, and Paul Richardson's speed's not on the sidelines. And listen, Trey Quinn is a very solid guy, and I like him. But he ain't beating out one of those two guys at any receiver spot in my mind.
Okay.
I mean, I think he's going to be a crafty guy, don't get me wrong, and a good addition to the team. But you don't have – McLuhan said Doc was the best athlete in the entire draft. Paul Richardson might be one of the fastest 5 guys in the league, and if you draft DK, you play DK at a 4.33 at 6'3", 228. You think you got a spot in there for Trey Quinn?
I would play Josh Doxson at slot as he's on his way out.
Listen,
take some beatings over the middle.
The big slot doesn't have game anywhere similar to Josh Doxson.
I know.
So, it's a glorified tight end. He is not.
I just couldn't. I couldn't do the wide receiver in the first round.
I don't want to either, man.
To do the spoiler
alert there. I don't want to either, but you know what? He did come out and say his best interview was with the Washington Redskins, and when they interviewed Jay Gruden about DK Metcalf, he beamed about the size and the speed and the possibility of having the X-Man.
The good news for the Washington Redskins is that some team might actually like DK Metcalf enough to trade up and get him.
Will you be crushed if we draft him? Final question about DK. Would it bother you as a Redskin fan? Will you be bummed out? I know I've been with you for the last 2 drafts. We've been elated with our picks.
I won't be bummed out because
I don't think I will either.
We need it, and he would start. He's a starter,
but I don't see it happening, and I don't see it happening either. All right,
I don't see it happening. But he's not the kind of player that, or the position for that matter, that they would draft, and you'd be like, well, that's a luxury pick. Like we don't need that. Like we need a wide receiver, and we need a wide receiver who can play right away. And a first-round wide receiver is going to be expected to play right away. So no matter if it's DK or not, whoever we draft in the first round, and by the way, if we draft a wide receiver in the second round, we're going to expect him to start as well.
Oh, absolutely.
So I just, in my heart of hearts, I listed edge rusher as our number 1 need.
I couldn't agree more, and I've thought this for months now.
Yep.
Since at the end of the season.
We are in lockstep. And I think there's a boring side of this argument that I just want to get out of the way because we've been making it, and I think it just needs to continue to be made. The economics argument is boring, but it's a fact. Edge rushers get paid a ton of money. We just lost a very good one.
And that's why. What you want to think. Exactly.
Preston Smith out the door. You have to be able to get a blue chip prospect like a Cleveland Farrell out of Clemson to come on in his rookie year and bring his talent right to your edge rushing spot. And get that rookie contract, that $16, $17 million deal spread out over 4 years instead of paying it in 1 year to a top-notch veteran. Cleveland Farrell out of Clemson in the first round to the Washington Redskins. I think it not only does it meet a need, I think it adds a ton of talent. I think he is certainly in line to be a material contributor out of the gate, and he fits the bill. He didn't go to Alabama, But he did.
But he beat him twice in the last
He
3
did
years
beat him
for
twice
a national championship.
in national championship games, and actually he played well in those games.
Played well. He was the MVP in 16 of the national championship.
And the Washington Nationals just hit a home run to go to within one run of the hated Phillies. Appreciate you guys giving me a little bit of a leeway there. Clemson has been churning out NFL talent. Clemson is as much on the level as Alabama at this point in time as anyone. If you're plucking berries from that tree, you're going to be doing some pretty good eating.
Hey, some pretty good eating. Do you mind if I jump in?
I'll talk about
because,
berries.
listen, I really enjoy, Ken, that you and I have just either agreed or disagreed and everything in between over the last few years. But on the draft, we seem to be on the same page, and I'm with you, man. Cleveland Farrell is a winner. He's a leader. We got all that stuff. We won't get into the boring combine things. He's not the supreme athlete, but he gets it done. He's not a non-athlete. He is a badass dude, a two-time national championship winner, the 2016 Fiesta Bowl defensive MVP, like we just mentioned,
Yep.
the ACC reigning defensive player of the year. He has won more games at Clemson than anyone in college football has, tied with Alabama in the last 4 years, starting 49 football games.
Yeah.
This is the type of guy that you want to bring into your locker room, into your community. First team All-ACC, consensus All-American in 18, first team in 17. This guy's been at the top of the mountain for years now, and he's hungry. And he came out to the combine and said as much. Told everyone exactly how to say his name because they're going to be saying it more often. He did it in such a polite way. So his burst is not elite. He's definitely relying upon technique, but he is an elite competitor, and that's what I love about him. His motor, he runs hot. He runs hot at all times.
And he's a kind of, he's prototypical size and strength, so the coaching can actually make him better. It's not like he's peaked for what he can do. He's a consensus All-American, and he's been dominating at the top program in this country, and there's still upside to him. There's still ceiling there. You want to get him in the right hands at the pro level because there's little things he could do that could be taken a little bit more advantage of the things that he excels at, or the advantages that he does have, which obviously is his reach, his length. He's also got that, maybe not Montez, but it's not that far off.
No, it's not that far off, and his bevy of tricks. His bag of tricks that we talk about covering basketball is humongous. They say he's got the best counter rush of anyone. He's far beyond mentally in the game at that level, how he's learned how to do that. They say as a good first step, they wonder about his second and third. I believe that is blatantly coaching and the defense that Clemson ran in the past. He wasn't asked to come running around. He was asked to get upfield.
Everybody
so his bend
could
is
do
gonna
their
be worked
job.
on. We can figure that part out. His hands, the strength of his hands, how he sets the edge as a rusher. He's a badass. All right, so maybe Montez is the guy that has a higher ceiling for possibly following a Lawrence Taylor type player.
Yep.
But this is a guy, Cleveland, that steps in and kicks ass for 5 years on a rookie deal that you re-sign, that becomes a Redskin for life, and you want to pair him up with Allen and Payne, a little Ionitis for a year, settle and see what happens. Yeah, well, that's my thing, and you and I have talked about the identity of the Washington Redskins. Are we going to keep staying balanced on both sides of the ball and not being great at either thing? Or do we want to just take a peek at our front line, signing Landon Collins to this deal and making this defense elite and letting Jay Gruden figure out a way to score points on the offensive end with what we got? And I'm not saying we don't need more weapons on offense. We do.
We do.
But let's be that ass-kicking defense. Let's have an identity as a football team. We got Darius Geis. We got Adrian Peterson and Chris Thompson. So let's play that defense, run that ball, and then have a quarterback that has the ability to get the ball down the field. We might not be some wide-open, ridiculous McVay-type style offense, but let's kick everyone's ass on defense and see what happens.
And I completely, I completely agree with you because I've been saying, you and I have been saying this for years. And the face of the Washington Redskins doesn't have to be a player. And Dan Snyder gets that stuck in his head way too much. He wants a guy he can market. He wants a guy he can sell. He tried to get that in RG3. He's tried it a number of times in free agency signings. The most the most successful face of the Washington Redskins franchise wasn't one face. It was 5 or 6 or 7. It was the Hogs. Yeah. And with the Washington Redskins defense these days can become the face of the franchise, trust me, it'll be great because I also think there's a strong chance Jay Gruden goes with the fullback. And if that's true, and we have 4 running backs on the roster, which we didn't go with.
He just sang Samaje Perine praises. He might be the fullback.
He might be the fullback, and if you have, I'm carrying 3 quarterbacks, and maybe Jay Gruden won't ultimately carry 3 quarterbacks. I think it would be a mistake. But if you have 3 quarterbacks who you trust to not kill you like a Mark Sanchez would, and you have 4 running
Ugh.
backs and a good defense, you're going to be okay. If Jordan Reed, there's too many other ifs in our passing game.
There
for me
is,
to
but
even talk
Doxson has
about.
the athleticism to stretch the field. Paul Richardson was very productive
Yeah.
before the shoulder and the knee at the same
the
exact time.
shoulder and the knee.
Look, Trey Quinn can come around here, and we can get another guy. We can get another
That's
guy.
why I don't want to trade for
This
Rosen.
is a very heavy wide receiver draft. The second round seems to be where all the guys are at. A couple of those guys are going to fall to the third. We're going to have an opportunity to pick one of those guys up.
Cody Ford, the guard out of Oklahoma, and Andre Dillard, the tackle out of Washington State, are 2 of the next 3 picks. So offensive linemen do start to go in the first round. I want a second round offensive lineman, a guy who can either play guard or center, or a guy who can play guard and center, or I'm drafting a tackle who I can move inside in the second round because I want him to start on day 1.
Or a center that can move to guard.
Or a center that can move to
play
guard.
both.
That's fine.
Garrett
Either
Bradbury,
way.
as we talked about last week, and
Yes.
And the guy from Texas A&M.
Garrett Bradbury's
Elijah.
going. He already got drafted in the first round of the Tennessee Titans.
And he's gonna.
Yeah.
He's gonna be one of those guys that 2 weeks from now they're gonna be laughing about when he was listed in the second round. But hey, listen. Last thing, Cleveland Farrell. I'm not gonna say Richmond is local, but it's local to Redskin fans. The Bon Secours and he played his high school football in Richmond for Greg Lilly, a Gonzaga 88 graduate, friend of mine, friend of the family. When we do make that pick, we'll have Greg on right away if this goes down. Talk about him in high school.
We should have him on anyways.
Frog and Juice, where did Michael Benerget play in high school in Richmond? It's St. Anne's Bellfield's rival with a C. Benedictine. So he played his high school ball at Benedictine for Greg Lilly. And, we cover the WCC around here. We like to think that we got the best high school conference in the nation.
They're pretty good,
I think
too.
Greg Lilly will give us the skinny on old Cleveland. And he's been there for 9 years.
I mean, what does that go all the way to Hampton, or is that?
No, well, listen, they're hand in hand.
Yeah.
When you're recruiting Richmond, you're recruiting the beach because
Newport News.
Let me tell you this: you're recruiting the beach first.
You're going to Newport News first.
Without a doubt. You're going to the beach.
You're
going to the beach.
Where Michael Vick
yes,
and
the Norfolk, Tidewater, Reed, all
Aaron
of it.
Brooks.
Bubba Chuck, yes.
Allen Iverson.
Yes, that's,
why not go to that school?
Well, absolutely. But
conference.
listen, in Richmond, Highland Springs has got some ball. Listen, I recruited both these areas at one time. Ridiculous talent all over the place. But I'm telling you, Benedictine hasn't had a football player like Cleveland Farrell, maybe ever. This guy, and we've seen it. Why not bring a winner? Why not bring another champion into the locker room on defense? We've got all these Alabama guys. By the time we get Cleveland Farrell set up, if that is the case, and this is what we're talking about, this is why we're talking about. We're not saying that's the end-all, be-all. The draft is the draft. It's going to tell us what to do. And the board will tell us, like Bruce always says. But listen, the board has told us what's up for the last few years. We've celebrated. Cleveland Farrell, I would celebrate immensely and be very excited about. Nice pick, Ken Marangola.
There you have it. We will put it up on the site tomorrow for everyone to mock, because that's what you do with mock drafts, right? You mock them.
Yeah, you got to mock it until you mock out with your.
Yeah,
I don't know how this saying goes anymore.
It changes annually, Kevin.
It does. These young kids.
In 2019, the Washington Redskins, on behalf of Hogs Haven, draft Cleveland Farrell, the edge rusher out of Clemson.
Campione.
On behalf of First Amendment Sports, I'm Ken Marangolo. He's Kevin Ricca.
Hey, thanks for mocking it off with us. Appreciate you guys. We'll see you next week.
Coming back next Tuesday, we'll be rejoined by T. Strachan. We're here to talk about the Redskins
Yeah,
on
get well, T.
the Audible.